Hello and welcome back to another edition of Kudo Camera Company live stream lens side-by-side comparison. We've got the clock running, so we're going to go through it. We're going to get 10 categories, 10 points each. We're going to have a scorecard worth 100 points at the end. We're going to look at speed, build, color, center sharpness, edge sharpness, split screen. We're going to take a look at the reputation of the manufacturers. We're going to take a look at the optical formula, the minimum focus distance, the bokeh. Then at the end we'll have 100. So last time I went over 10 minutes, so we're going to see if we can stay under this time. So let's go right into it. First we'll take a look at the speed of the lenses and basically give you a little sense of what the crop factor is going to look like on the different cameras. In the center we've got micro four thirds, then APS-C, Super 35, and out on the edges we've got full frame. So we'll just hide the sensors. So for speed, these are both 50mm f1.4 lenses. We have the Rokker-PF 58 f1.4 that we're taking a look at first. So that's going to qualify for a 9 in the speed department. And the Topcor is also a 1.4, so we'll get a 9 up there as well. So we're going to get a good look at all these lenses, but we got to keep it moving to stay underneath 10 minutes. So next, we'll take a look at the build. The build on both of these lenses is solid. I would say the Minolta has all metal, and if you take a look at the Topcor, it's mainly metal, but then it has that rubber comfort grip. Those tend to get a bit dusty and can be a little bit hard to get a follow focus ring on because they're so soft. But they're still both very well built lenses, and the Topcor is actually really beefy. So we're gonna give them both a 9 for the body. Let's see. I rewatched my last live stream and I thought, well, I could speed it up a little bit and still cover all this information. So I'm gonna try to keep it under 10 minutes if we can. Taking a look at the color for both lenses, they both have really good, pleasing colors. I would say that the Minolta Rokker-PF has a little bit more of a cooler tone, and the Topcor seems to be a little bit more true to life. Just taking a look at the color card here, they're both really good on. They're both excellent on color. I would say that they both get a 9 in color. I've been able to spend a few minutes with the lenses in advance too to kind of preview some of this, but as we go through you can see many of the aspects, but we're going to get that scorecard in. So next we're going to take a look at the center sharpness. So center sharpness, they're both really nice and sharp. We're wide open right now at f1.4. I would say if anything, I believe the Topcor is just a hair sharper across the board here, about in this area. I don't see anything on the is it Rokkor or Rokker? Probably Rokkor. I don't see anything there that's going to outperform this Topcor here at this moment. So taking a closer look at the center sharpness, we're basically in focus here on the Topcor, and they're both kind of maintaining focus until about this area, I would say. I think I'm just seeing the Topcor is sharper here in the center, but they're both very sharp. So I'd give them both a 9 here. So let's get a 9 for the center sharpness. And then we're going to move on and take a look at the edge sharpness. So one of the things I noticed in looking at the edge sharpness was, even though I felt I had the focus pretty well in sync, as they're on the edge, it seems that there's more fluctuation with the Rokkor. The Topcor, I think it's holding on to a stronger focus here on the edge. We'll take a closer look there. So we're on the edge here. You know, they're out of sync a little bit on focus, even though in the center they were pretty well in sync. But what I'm finding is that the workable zone here on the edge for the Rokkor is a little bit smaller. I feel like, I know they're out of sync on focus, but the Topcor is kind of presenting a really sharp text here, and I don't see the Rokkor really outperform it at any point in this range. So I would give the edge sharpness. I'd like to give it to the Topcor, but they're both very good. I think that they both deserve a solid 9. But I mean overall, I'm kind of giving a little bit of an edge to the Topcor. So let's get that score in here before we start working through the split screen. So for the edge sharpness, they're both very good, solid lenses. I think they'll compare well against other lenses as well. So we'll rank them in there at a 9. And then next we're going to take a look at the split screen. So here on the left we have the Rokkor coming across. So basically we have the Topcor. With the Rokkor, I feel that I have a hard time keeping my whole head into the focus zone, but with the Topcor, I feel like I can pretty well get it in around this area. I do think that overall, a lot of the small differences I've discussed on as we were moving through, I feel like they're really coming home on this one, where the Topcor is going to be a 9 and the Minolta is probably going to be an 8. Let me just see. I really like them, but I would give the edge to this one here, the Topcor. So let's get that score in. We'll do split screen is going to be an 8 for the Rokkor and a 9 for the Topcon. How are we doing on time here? 2 minutes left. Okay. Next, we'll take a look at the manufacturer's reputations. The Minolta brand was always a very well-known brand and excellent, and has lasted even until pretty much until today, I guess. They've had a lot of different forms. They're not exactly, I guess they're not exactly in business today, but they have a legacy. There's a whole history. I don't want to get caught up on the history completely in my 10 minutes here, so there's a lot to learn about these brands. Here's a look at the Topcor. It came on the bestseller Topcor. This was the Super D. I've got this, I believe this is the camera body that this lens came on when I got it. It's excellent lens. They were competing and were making pretty much glass as good as anyone. So they didn't really have a long storied history, but at the time when this was made, they were very well known for their high quality, and I would say maybe slightly more so than Minolta, but in terms of quality. But the thing that set Minolta apart a little bit was that Minolta lasted a lot longer. I believe the Topcor brand hung a little bit on to the exact amount too long, and then went down the consumer path instead of the pro as they went later on into their history. So let me get that score in here. We're going to give them both a 9 for the reputations. Minolta had a longer life, and at this point, Topcor was known for a little bit better quality. So taking a look at the optics, the Rokkor is 6 elements, and the Topcor is 7. So it's not an 8-element lens, but it gets some points for the wide front element. I believe it's a 62mm filter thread. So let's take a look and see if they match or no. So the Topcor has an extra element on the back. It looks like it's going to maybe help it perform a little bit better in the sharpness test. So next we're going to take a look at the minimum focus distance on these two lenses. So the minimum focus distance on, actually, I forgot to put in the score for the optics. We should do 8 for the Minolta, and a 9 because that front optic is just incredible for the for the Topcor. And also in terms of the history, the Topcor went on. Somebody had mentioned on Facebook when I was asking for some tips. Ben mentioned kind of inspired the Voigtlander Nocton 58mm f1.4, and so anyways, on the optics, this one's kind of legendary, so we're gonna have to give the 9 for the a 9 to the Topcor and an 8 to the Rokker-PF. So we passed the 10-minute mark, but we're gonna just finish strong here. Take a look at the minimum focus distance, the bokeh, and then we're gonna tally up the score. I'm committed to getting this under 10 minutes. So for the minimum focus distance, let's see. Sorry about that. Just a second here. So we're going to take a look at the minimum focus distance, and then we're going to transition to bokeh, so it'll be good to get these dialed in here. Okay. So for the Rokkor, we are basically a minimum focus of 0.6 meters, which is long for a 50mm. It's too long. And then over here with the Topcor, you can see is much closer. So we're going to give the edge to the Topcor in this competition, but also it's not a 10 or anything like that, but it is a 9. But the Rokkor is going to get kind of dinged a point in this department. The Rokker is going to get an 8, and then the Topcor will get a 9. And then we'll look at the bokeh. So one thing that having a close minimum focus distance is a benefit for would be the bokeh. So when it's dialed back all the way, you get kind of the maximum bokeh in the background. So at this point, if we're just looking at the bokeh, you can kind of see, how the background really pops on this one. I would say this one is probably one of my favorite bokeh lenses. It doesn't have a lot of sort of special effect elements to it, but it's just a really excellent bokeh. And then the Rokkor is nice, but if you look at sort of how the size compares to the pen here versus here, the bokeh on the Topcor is better. But they're both excellent. I would give them both 9s. I wouldn't give them 10s. But let's go ahead and just sort of get this approximate back here. So I have to come in here to finish this off strong here. All right, so for the bokeh, we're in the 9s. Two really solid lenses. So I got to get these reviews down under 10 minutes. There's no need for it to go any longer than that, but I'll keep working on that. Let me see if I can. Bear with me while I get my bearings here. Sorry about that. I don't think I'm going to get this dialed in just right now, but all we have to do is score it. So let's focus on the important thing here. The score is going to be Minolta adds up to an 87, which is a really good score. This lens is probably around a $70 lens. So it's a really good performer at that price point. And the Topcor adds up to our highest score yet, which is a 90. It really is a special lens, I would say, and it's a really nice one to have and use. It's hard to get. It's more expensive by about probably $300 more. But but it's a really excellent lens. It comes in the 5.8 centimeter version as well as the 58. So let's take a look here. So for the winner, we are going to just get a closer look at it. The rubber grip is kind of the worst thing about this lens. Other than the rubber grip, it's an excellent lens. This one's exact amount. So with exact amount, they're a little bit harder to get the adapters, a little bit harder to find the caps. But one cool thing is that at Kudo Camera Company, we actually sell these Forster UK US caps for Exacta. So we've got them in black, gold, white, blue. So thought that would be a good one to share for tonight. I do appreciate you coming by and you know, checking out the live stream, taking a look at these two outstanding lenses. I would say that the Topcor has been one I know a lot of people don't know the name, but hopefully after this you'll give it a second look. Basically, these Topcor ones are a little bit harder to get, but it kind of pays off. It's great for a photographer who doesn't really need a full match set. Maybe for video it's a little tougher, but nonetheless, excellent lens, great piece of photography history. So if you enjoyed this, please do subscribe. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers. We're at 200 and I think 222 now. So we're on our way. And if you could you know, enjoy these in the future, then please do subscribe. Check us out on Kudo Camera Company. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and kudocamera.com. So look forward to having you back another time. But for now, I'm pretty happy with this Topcor. I think I'll use it a bit more than I have been recently. It's a solid lens. So, well, thanks a lot for coming by. Take care. Good night.